a shade above window fashion.
OnSideRadio.com knows gamers need a home.
Can you dig it?
That's why for the next 60 seconds,
Can you count, suckers?
here's your OnSide Radio E-Report with Michael Christian.
Updates on games like FIFA and Madden probably won't be coming until late July. So EA Play Live, which is a big announcement series, a big digital series for EA, is scheduled for July 22nd. That is a little over a month after E3. And if you don't know what E3 is a huge gaming convention. They use it for a lot of gaming announcements, a lot of updates on things. Throughout the years, E3 has been the place to be when it comes to announcing the latest installment of your games or anything like that. And it looks like EA is deciding to skip that entirely. So any updates that you're looking for FIFA, Madden, Skate 4, anything like that, July 22nd seems to be your date.
Stay in touch in the world of gaming with the OnSide Radio E-Report. It's time for the fans to take over. OnSideRadio.com presents Miami sports music for the fans. The show dedicated to those who follow South Florida teams with a true passion. Here's your host, Stephen D.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D. I am super excited to be hanging out with y'all on this beautiful Memorial Day. This is a pretty awesome show that we're going to start out here in the beginning. And we're just going to get right to it because that's how we do here on Miami Sports Music for the Fans. We are about the fans. Before I actually get into it, I need you guys to do a few things. Number one, hit that like button. I don't know what you're doing right now, but I need you to make sure you're hitting that like button. Number two, make sure you subscribe to OnSide Radio on YouTube. If you missed this show or any of the shows that we've done in the past, you guys can look up here. I got to make sure I get this right. There we go, right there. You guys can look right up there and bam, you guys can download the latest podcast for myself or the gentleman that I have on, this good man, this good-looking guy, Mr. Alex Dunno. What's up, Alex?
Steve, so happy, man. I love being able to have you on the crossover in my show, do a little crossover with you, man. I hope that this Memorial Day is treating you well. And if correct me if I'm wrong, I heard you mention last week that you've got some veterans in your family, as do I. So God bless, man. And of course, on a day like this, I always like to remember the reason and those who sacrificed so much for our freedoms.
Definitely, man. Both of my grandfathers served 25, 30 plus years in the U.S. Navy. My mother served in the U.S. Navy. My dad served in the U.S. Navy. We can keep on going back. I mean, I come from a long line of military, and so today's a very important day, which is why I'm walking the camo DWA today. If you guys like what I'm rocking here, you guys can go to MiamiSportsMusic.com, and guys, go check out the latest gear in the shop by the Honorable Solo D. All right, man, look, we're doing things a little bit off, not the way we normally do them, but I am such a huge UFC fan, and I don't get to talk UFC that often. And why not, man? Why not talk some UFC? And also, we talk a little bit about the fights, but I also just kind of want to talk about the last year and a half for them not having fans and them being the first one to get fans and what the atmosphere has been like for these first, few UFC fights that we've seen, the one in Jacksonville and the one in Texas. And I don't know if I think you caught most of them, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wish it could have been there in person, especially
that makes two of us.
Yeah, I mean, for the Jacksonville one, obviously it wasn't. It was somewhat close, but I couldn't get away that weekend, so I was happy to watch it on pay-per-view. And yeah, man, to what you're saying, I mean, first of all, I give a lot of credit to the UFC for doing a really admirable job, like navigating through the pandemic. I know that when they restarted their events very quickly, they faced a lot of backlash and criticism. Like, even though they weren't doing it in front of fans, they were doing it basically in bubbles. I thought they executed things very well. Some people just thought they tried to relaunch it a little bit too quickly, but
I thought they did it the right way, personally.
What do you mean?
I thought they did it the right way. I thought they did it perfectly.
100%. I thought they did it. They did it perfectly because obviously, they used the bubble concept. It was essentially the same thing that the NBA would later do, and Major League Soccer with their Orlando tournament and the NHL. So they kind of did their bubble before anyone else did a bubble, and they didn't create any sort of super spreader or hotbed events. And I was really appreciative, honestly, during the pandemic that I was able to watch so many UFC fights when there really wasn't anything else going on, right? For a long time, there were no team sports. But then, over the last couple of months, since they have been able to have, a show in Jacksonville and a show in Texas in front of full crowds, I'm sure being there must have been just an incredible experience. But even watching those shows on pay-per-view, it's pretty awesome. And then, even since they've had a couple of pay-per-views in full arenas, and they've still had, they had one this past weekend, they still have sprinkled in some of these ESPN plus fight night shows in their sort of their empty UFC arena in Vegas. But then it's weird, going from, okay, so a week ago, I just watched a pay-per-view in front of 20,000 people and I heard all the noise. And now they're back in their empty gym in Vegas. And then weird. It's weird to go back and forth. It doesn't sound right.
Well, for me, I thought UFC 262, which I think is the one in Jacksonville. I've watched UFC. I remember my dad back in the day ordering when Tank Abbott and or not GSP, but Royce Gracie and all those guys were kings, right? They ran the UFC. I remember watching UFC 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 when there was literally no rules in those things, and so. Yeah, my dad was such a great role model letting me watch that. But I loved it. I love that stuff. And so I've seen UFC grow to become what I think is the best combat sport on the planet right now. That's just my personal opinion. But I saw UFC 262 in Jacksonville, and I have to say that's one of the best fight cards from top to bottom, from prelims all the way down to the main draw, that I was like, you know what? This is legit, one of the best UFCs I have ever seen.
Oh, I mean, it was
so much fun to watch that whole card.
Yeah, it was incredible, and it's you almost felt like the fighters were probably feeding off the crowd a little bit. And honestly, the UFC, they've gotten a little bit diluted because of how many events that they put on, but every now and then you get crackerjacks like that, and I think that the pay-per-view that's coming up on June 12th, the next UFC pay-per-view, which is Israel Adesanya against Marvin Vettori in the main event. That's a title fight. They've got another title fight in the co-main event.
I want Poirier and McGregor. That's the one I'm looking for, man.
Yeah, and that's coming up in July. So we're not far away from that either. So we have some really good cards coming up. What really drew me back into the UFC, I was like you, I watched when I was a kid, the first few of them, in the olden days. And then they kind of took a step back because there was some legal trouble that they were in because lawmakers were like, oh, this is human cockfighting.
Can't do this. Yep.
So yeah. So for a few years, it got very underground and I kind of lost interest in it. But then around 2005, I really started to get back into it. And I was a boxing fan all throughout that time.
I'm sorry about that.
No, well, yeah, no. And I'm getting to that. I'm getting that because honestly, what made me really appreciate the UFC when they really started hitting hard again, around 05 was when a lot of people got into it or back into it. In my case was, you felt like every fight that was on the pay-per-view really mattered, right? I mean, there are normally 5 fights that they put on a pay-per-view main card, and for a lot of boxing pay-per-views, everything's kind of just fit. And boxing, I think, is learning from that a little bit. But for around those years, when you watched a boxing pay-per-view, the undercard was just kind of filler before the main event.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They're getting better with that, but they're getting better with that, I think, because they're doing what the UFC has been doing for years. But what really got me back into the UFC was, as soon as the event starts, 10 p.m., they're giving you 5 great fights back to back to back to back to back. And so that was what, oh my God, I feel like every fight matters. That really got me into it.
The 7 o'clock fights on ESPN prelims, for UFC, they're good, bro. They're amazing fights. They're a great draw. Real quick, because I know I don't have you for too much longer, and I really wanted to talk about this. So there's two divisions I want to talk about. I want to talk about whatchamacallit, pound for pound. Obviously, that's the best fighter in the UFC. And then I obviously want to talk about the lightweight and welterweight titles. Let's kind of start in the lightweight. So Peoria is going to face McGregor, and my guess is the winner of that will face Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
You agree with that? And who do you see winning in the McGregor fight?
I partially agree with it. Here's the thing. If Poirier wins, then 100%, I think he's going to fight Charles Oliveira for the title. If McGregor wins, your guess is as good as mine, because he can
fight whoever he wants.
And he can decide he's never fighting again. Like, you never know with that dude. Like Conor McGregor, he doesn't, like, the rules don't really apply to him because he is such a big shot and he's got so much leverage. Like, he's getting this Poirier rematch because he wanted it. It's a trilogy fight. He won the first one years ago. He lost the rematch a few months ago, so he desperately wants to erase that loss. So yeah, listen, if he can beat Poirier, and I think Poirier beats him again, by the way. But if McGregor,
I hope you're wrong. God, I hope you're wrong, man.
A lot of people hope I'm wrong. A lot of people hope I'm wrong because McGregor is just massive and he's so popular and he is very talented. But if he wins, like, he should fight for the belt, but I don't know. He may decide, I want to box a YouTuber, or I want to box Mayweather again.
Don't do that.
You never know with that dude.
All right, so real quick, man. Bones is Bones gonna fight again? What's the deal with Bones? Because let's get some straight. I saw him fight Glover Teixeira here in Baltimore years ago. Seeing him fight live, to me, is like I saw the Holy Grail when it comes to MMA. He is my favorite MMA fighter of all time, but I don't know if he ever fights again. And if he does, who does he fight?
Yeah, I think he's going to fight again, and he wants to fight the heavyweight champ. Okay, he wants. He wants Francis Ngannou. He wants to fight. Okay. Yeah, which is and I think that's the fight the UFC needs to make, because I think that's the biggest fight that they can make right now. But like they're having problems negotiating with him and I think he deserves a ton of money for that fight, which is huge.
At least 20 mil. If he wants 25 mil or 30 mil, have a nice day. See you.
And I think that's about what he wants, and they don't want to pay him more than like 5 or 10 mil. I mean, obviously there's always extra money you make, with sponsorships and other perks, but he wants like a base pay probably of around 20-25 mil. They don't want to give him that much money, so it's kind of in a standoff right now. But yeah, he wants to be active again. He wants that fight. I think, to me, John Jones, I think, is the best pound for pound of all time. I've watched the GSPs.
You'll get no disagreement from me here.
Yeah. I've watched the GSPs. I've watched the Anderson Silvas. Khabib Nurmagomedov, I think, is right there, very close to being at that list as well. But I think Jones, his resume, I mean, he's only got one loss, and it wasn't really a legitimate loss. It was a BS disqualification for a rule nobody had ever heard of.
Nobody.
And other than that, he's won every fight, and he cleaned out the light heavyweight division like 3 times. Like, it's crazy. I think he's the best pound for pound fighter.
Dude, I love him to death. Man, I wish I could have you on and talk more with you, bro. I'm so mad you got to go.
And Steven, let me formally invite you, because I'd mentioned this to you before. I want to have you on Fight Night this week with James Walker and I on Thursday evening. So if you don't sticking around for a little bit after your show that night, I want you on the show.
Dude, as long as I can talk UFC, I'm good, because that's where it's at for me, man. I love UFC. I want to see Nunez fight again. That's my girl, and I think I love Dana White. I know he gets such a bad rap, but I love him. He's so entertaining to me. So, dude, I'm definitely on. Thank you for coming on. If you guys want to get on today, this show's about you. I don't have a guest this afternoon, so I want to get you guys. You guys can talk about whatever you want. You can pick your own topics. I put the StreamYard link in the chat room so you guys can come on. And I want to remind you guys before I get done out of here, every Thursday night, like this Thursday, from 7 to 9 p.m., you can catch Fight Night with Alex Dunno and James Walker. It's the show dedicated to combat sports, from UFC to boxing to bare-knuckle brawling. Alex and James provides combat sport fans the insight and interviews they crave. Tune in every Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for Fight Night with Alex Dunno and James Walker. Search and subscribe to the podcast by searching Fight Night on the home for combat sports, OnSideRadio.com. Alex, bro, I appreciate it, big guy.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
We'll be back in our next segment, and it'll be all about you, the fans. Let's go. You're listening to Miami sports music for the fans on OnSide Radio.
South Florida sports fans. OnSideRadio.com. Stephen D and Miami Sports Music for the Fans returns in just a few minutes. Get off the bench. Dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. This is Miami Sports Music.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. First responders are people who stand for a greater purpose. They will be there for you when nobody else is, to help you, your family, your community. This is their selfless promise. This is their sworn duty to protect, to serve, to help. They put themselves in harm's way for us. They come to the rescue at times when we need them most. First responders are making enormous personal sacrifices to keep showing up for us and fighting the good fight. Nearly 70% of all firefighters are volunteers. That means when they get injured or quarantined, they may not have a way to pay their rent or keep their family safe and fed. No matter who you are or where you live, when you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org and make a difference today.
When you want a perfectly straight smile without braces, you can count on MoodyAsDental.com. A stunning smile is within reach. Learn more about Invisalign. Find out why so many trust the Moody-Ass family. Dr. Moody-Ass is an inventor and has several patents on innovative surgical instruments that are used around the world. Experience a family environment and trust on a worldwide level. From implants to crowns to a beautiful Invisalign smile. Call 305-821-0231. That's 305-821-0231. Or go to the website at MoodyAsDental.com.
He has an overbite that makes him look like a cartoon character, a slightly crooked eye, and an uncommonly wrinkly neck. In the right light, he can look a little like a garden gnome, and he'll wear a bow tie just because. Sure, you might call him a little quirky, but that's exactly what makes him so perfect. Tuna is a 3-year-old Chihuahua Dachshund mix with more than 700,000 followers on Instagram, and it all started because he was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Tuna, but you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
This Inter Miami CF Minute is brought to you by Stout Bar and Grill in Oakland Park. With over 40 TVs, Stout is the home for soccer around the world and a great place to watch Inter Miami CF. Stout features Clonakilty Whiskies, the world's best Irish whiskey.
Inter Miami had their first ever sellout crowd at Drive Pink Stadium while operating under full capacity, but the fans weren't enough to put on an inspiring performance against DC United. A 3-0 defeat showed a lot of good talent from DC United, but quite the opposite from Inter Miami as they struggled defensively with Phil Neville's 3-5-2 formation at the back. The defense seemed sloppy. It didn't seem like they were organized and ready to try out a formation like that. And he switched very quickly to a 4-2-3-1 after conceding the second goal, but nothing was enough to come back from the deficit, and the game ended 3-0.
Keep up with the latest on La Rosa Negra by subscribing on most platforms. Search OnSide Radio. Welcome back to Miami Sports Music for the Fans. To talk to Stephen D, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. To reach out on the text line, it's 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's Stephen D on your home for South Florida sports fans around the world. OnSideRadio.com.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D. Super excited to be hanging out with y'all on this wonderful, beautiful Monday afternoon on this beautiful day that we call Memorial Day here in the U.S. I'm super excited to be hanging out with you guys today. Look, I don't really have any planned agenda for the show today. My agenda is you, for the fans. So if you want to get on, if you go into the YouTube chat link, you will see a link to get on. Guys, get on. Talk with me. The floor is yours. Let's keep it sports-centric. So anything you want to talk about that has to do with sports, let's do it. Whether it's the Dolphins, the Heat, the Marlins, whatever it may be. But before I get going and wait for you guys to get onto that, and I do have some topics that we can also talk about too, here is what I want to talk about today for Monday's Roundtable on OnSideRadio.com. OnSideRadio.com's Monday's Roundtable is which team is closer to a title, the Heat or the Panthers? And why does one have an easier path? Very good question. Both of them getting knocked out of the first round of their respected playoffs, the NBA and the NHL playoff hunt. Here's what I think, man. Looking at the NBA, looking at the NHL, here's where I stand. I think the Heat, unfortunately, are not as close as people think. And I think we saw that because everybody's number one move for the Heat is they need to go out and get a big man. And even if Victor Oladipo was here, would he have really made that big of a difference? Because I don't know if that would have been the case, right? The other thing that I think would have also been the case too is, you have to match Giannis pound for pound. And they really didn't have an answer for Giannis in this series. And so I know that they made a run last year all the way to the finals in the bubble. And I get that there was practically no offseason. But if you're asking me who probably has the better chance, I think the Panthers do. I think the Panthers are more of an upswing. I mean, I look at them and I look at what somebody like Spencer Knight is doing and could give them. To me, they're an exciting young hockey team that has the ability to really, really make a staple in the NHL over the next 3 to 5 years, maybe even longer than that. So my hope is I want to see them both do well. But if you're asking me who I think is going to do better going into the future, I think it's the Panthers. The Panthers just look a little bit brighter to me than the Heat because there's too many question marks about the Heat right now. I look at the Heat. I don't know what's going to happen with them. Is Oladipo somebody that's going to stay? Where's Kawhi Leonard going to go? Even if Kawhi Leonard comes here, granted, it makes this team that much better, but it still doesn't give you the presence of a big man. And the reality is you need a big man to dominate in this game. I'm not saying you need the old Shaq days of 7 foot plus, but the reality is at the same time, it's going to be something that you guys have to do and have to worry about. So look, I'm hoping that, there's some big name power forward or center, a 4 or 5 that is definitely available for the Heat to go out and get. And I hope they don't have to give up much to get them. And I would love to see Kawhi Leonard come here with Jimmy Butler. So I'd love to see Kawhi here and one other person. You build the roster around those people. I already like guys that are already here, like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Herro, Bam. All these people are great, but I still think you're 2 pieces away from really making a run at this thing. And one of them is Kawhi, and the other one's some big person, a big 4 or big 5. So we'll have to see. I think my vote is the Panthers are definitely a lot more equipped to handle the future of playoffs than the Heat at the moment. All right. That's my take on OnSide Radio's Mondays Roundtable. Now, let's talk some Dolphins. Let's talk some Dolphins. Why do I want to talk Dolphins? Well, I want to talk Dolphins because you guys want to talk Dolphins, right? So here's a reality, right? The Dolphins, we are, let's say 2 months away from where we're headed to, which is the NFL preseason and training camp. And actually less than that. I mean, if it's about to be June, July is probably, so we're about 6 to 7 weeks away. I have never been more excited for this season, for a football season lately, in the last 10 or 15 years than I am today, right? And here's why. I think it has to do with 2 things. I think it has to do with our head coach and front office, which are 1 together, and 2 with Tagovailoa. I love both of them. I look at Greer, I look at Flo, I look at Tua. I think this team definitely has what it takes. And here's a reality. I have always said that the fan base has been pretty split from one thing to another over the last, let's look at 20 years, right? And you look at the fan base, and for the first time, they're starting to come together a little bit. You're starting to see more unity, more people that have been really jaded and upset by the organization are all of a sudden now like, you know what? I'm starting to see that there's something good here with Flo. I'm starting to see that Tua has the tangibilities to become somebody that can be a force in this league over the next 5 to 10 years, if not longer. So you're looking at those things, and I think the reality is I think the Miami Dolphins are set for success. And not only do I think they're set for success, I think they're set for a long period of success. Now, here's little things that we have to worry about, right? Like, what is the running back situation going to be like? Is Myles Gaskin going to be somebody that's going to be able to carry the workload? And if not, what is our 7th round Dokes? Is he somebody that's going to be able to step up? I don't know about that, right? And then if you also look, if Jakeem Grant is let go, are they keeping 6 or 7 wide receivers on the roster? Because it sounds like they're going with a 55-man roster. So are they keeping 6 to 7 wide receivers? And if so, does Jakeem Grant stay on that? Because the reality is there's a lot of great wide receivers out there that, if healthy, I think overtake Jakeem on this roster. And so if that's the case, who does the handling return duties? Is it Waddle? Somebody who we got a top 10 pick with? A lot of people don't want to see a top 10 pick start, handling returns. Is it Javon Holland? Javon Holland is great, but is that somebody who can return kicks? He did a few times at Oregon, so it'll be very interesting to see where they go from there. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys want to get into the chat on YouTube, tell me your thoughts. Use the hashtag for the fans. Also, if you guys want to get on, I'd love to hear from you. Okay. If you go into the chat right now, I'm actually going to clip it again. You guys can get in. You guys can come on. You guys can talk Miami Dolphins. You guys can talk Miami Heat. You can talk Miami Marlins. You can talk Florida Panthers. I'm not going to be as good on the Florida Panthers, but you can talk about whatever you want to talk about when it comes to South Florida sports. Because at the end of the day, Miami sports music is for the fans, by the fans. Here's something that I will kind of get into as we get into towards the end of this segment and going into the next segment. I want to talk about Jakeem Grant, because I think Jakeem Grant is going to be a domino effect in this team. And the reason that is whatever we do with him is going to be an answer on, do we keep 6 or 7 wide receivers? Who's going to be handling the return duties if it's not Jakeem? And what type of role, how could we get rid of somebody like Jakeem and get something back for him? Because there are people that are of the thought and mindset that even if you get rid of Jakeem, you have to release him and you're not going to get anything for him. So what's the point of getting rid of somebody who's got Pro Bowl caliber type stuff when you can just bury him in your bench and eat the contract for now? And God forbid, knock on wood, injuries happen, he's the next man up. I think Jakeem Grant is such a huge X factor for what this team's going to do in its roster come August and September. And so I look at it and I see that, he's playing such a significant role when it comes to the wide receivers position, the return position, the special teams. It's going to be absolutely amazing, because I think it'll be a domino effect for that. And if you're also looking at who I also think is going to be an X factor, Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki is going to demand top 5 money at his position at tight end. The Miami Dolphins are not going to pay that. Mark my words, they will not pay Gesicki top 5 money. And I had people tell me this morning or in past other shows, hey, you can franchise tag him. If they're going to franchise tag somebody to pay them the top 3 at their position, they would give them a contract. So in my opinion, Gesicki's gone before the end of this year's out. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's out before week 8. Whether we're 8-0 or not, I don't see it, because, especially if Hunter Long proves to be valuable. If he proves to be, this kid from Boston College proves to be worthy of anything, I mean, hello, close the book, sing, the fat lady will sing. It'll be very, very interesting. Joe asked, is this year a year where we're allowed 55 or 53 game day roster? So I have not had 100% official confirmation on that yet, but from what I am hearing, it's 55 because of the 18th game. So I am very interested to see what happens with that. So look, we'll check it out, right? It'll be very, very interesting. All right, we're coming up on the break here. If you guys want to get in, I want you to get in. I want to talk some Miami Dolphins with some fans. This is a fan show for you, for the fans. Let's talk. Get on. You guys go into the chat room on YouTube. You can see the link. Let's get on. Let's talk some football. Let's talk whatever you want to talk about. Also want to remind you guys, Inter Miami CF fans, join us every road game as we broadcast live from Dangerous Minds Brewing Company, 1901 North Federal Highway in Pompano. Join Big O and Alex Dunno. Enjoy the delicious and incredible house drafts and giveaways. Inter Miami CF fans, Your new home for every road game is Dangerous Minds Brewing Company in Pompano. Follow them on Twitter at Dangerous Minds and Instagram Dangerous Minds Brewing. All right, guys, we'll be right back on Miami Sports Music for the Fans, only on OnSide Radio.
You're listening to Miami Sports Music for the Fans. To reach out to Stephen D, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Miami Sports Music for the Fans. The only show truly dedicated to the Miami fans.
If you're looking for a change from the everyday restaurant, then you need to get to Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach. Brats, Wiener Schnitzel, homemade potato pancakes, pretzels with mustard, and lots of German beer. And with daily specials, there is something for everyone. If you're up for a challenge, you should take their famous boot tour. Finish 30 boots of different varieties of German beer, and you'll receive half price on their beer for life. And you'll get to take home your own boot and Checkers Old Munchin t-shirt. They also have outdoor seating available in their new beer garden with live music, as well as carry-out, curbside pickup, and delivery. So, for the finest German food and beer, get over to 2209 East Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Checkers Old Munchin Restaurant, or call them for reservations at 954-785-7565. That's 954-785-7565. We'll see you at Zagat Rated Checkers Old Munchin German Restaurant in Pompano Beach.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
When you're looking to add that extra style and protection for your home or business, visit A Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie or Sunrise, where plantation shutters are a major part of our business, and they look great in any home. We have them in white, stained colors, and wood tones. We can even motorize your shutters like the one in the OnSideRadio.com studio. A Shade Above Window Fashions, 954-434-4774. That's 954-434-4774. Love the space you live in. A Shade Above Window Fashions.
WLESPN. We've got all your sports.
We're live and local.
If you wake up early enough.
You're so bad, honey.
Tune us in. As long as you're not under a bridge.
Or under any power line.
Ain't it awful? South Florida's choice for sports talk. OnSideRadio.com.
When protecting your family is your priority, there's nothing more important than the roof above the people you love. At OnSide Radio, we recommend Chase Roofing and Contracting. At chaseroofing.com, they care about the customer. Chase Roofing provides reliable roof installation and repair without the destruction to our environment. Chase Roofing is powered by Tamara, who is owner and operated for 18 years. chaseroofing.com is Google top rated and a AAA standing with the Better Business Bureau. Open 24/7. Call them today. Trust chaseroofing.com to fortify and protect what's most important to you, your family.
Keeping you informed in the world of sports. With an OnSideRadio.com sports update.
Happy Memorial Day to all our OnSide Radio listeners. And it wasn't a very good Memorial Day weekend for South Florida sports, as the Miami Heat were eliminated from the NBA playoffs after getting swept by the Milwaukee Bucks and losing on Saturday 120-103. Inter Miami CF lost 3-0 in front of a full capacity crowd for the first time at Drive Pink Stadium on Saturday night. They are off until June 19th, where they will travel to play DC United. The Miami Marlins game was postponed yesterday in Boston. They are off today and will head to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays in their temporary home in Buffalo for a quick 2-game series. You're listening to the only locally owned South Florida sports talk station, OnSideRadio.com.
Welcome back to Miami Sports Music for the Fans. To reach out to Stephen D, send a text to 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's the man connecting with Miami sports fans worldwide, Stephen D.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Stephen D. And this is Miami Sports Music for the Fans. I want to remind you guys to start your morning every day at 8 a.m. with Toasted Sports. Toast covers all the local sports stories while providing some great Miami Hurricanes insight. Download, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, Toasted Sports, 8 a.m. from 10 a.m., only at OnSideRadio.com. All right, guys, check it out. We don't have a guest today. This is a show that is made just for you. Why is that? Well, because I love you, and I do this for you. And this is for the fans, and you guys are the fans. So let's do this. Let's have a good time. I want to have you guys come on. If you guys are interested in coming on, go into the YouTube chat right now, and you guys can click the link, and you guys can come on with me, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, from Dolphins to the Marlins to the Heat, whatever you guys want to talk about, we can definitely make that happen. All right. Now, without further ado, let's bring on our first guest, my man who has supported me since day one of doing this thing, and I appreciate the love and support, Mr. Cap for life. Cap, what's up, brother?
Hey, man, my blood pressure. How you been, man? Good?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? What do you want to talk about today, big guy?
I mean, before I get into the Dolphins scenario, because obviously we got to touch home base first, but I just wanted to say, man, for the people that are just a little bit butthurt about the Miami Heat, I mean, you really got nobody to blame, but, you know, as much as the management has done so much for this team, Mickey Arison, Nick Arison, Pat Riley, and Andy Ellisberg, these guys have done great with what they had. But the problem is when the fans speak, they got to start listening, especially nowadays when the voice does have a face. You know, if you got James Harden out there and people are quick to just bypass the Harden aspect of everything, I mean, you can't just say, you know, he's washed up when the guy's still in the playoffs. You know what I mean? 100%. Like, the guy's proven. And to be honest with you, you have to lay in the bed that you made. So obviously the Heat fans are a little bit butthurt, but, you know, like I said earlier, the front office I believe in. The same way I believe in the front office now with the team that you and me have invested interest in.
The Dolphins. Can I comment on your Heat stuff real quick? Because for me, it's very interesting because I look at think about it. I want you to think about it from this step. Since Pat Riley's come through the door, they have tried to do everything to win, and they've been successful at some things. You bring in LeBron, you bring in Chris Bosh, right? You had the opportunity to go back and bring Dwayne Wade back, and you know you keep the team the way it is, and then you go out and get Jimmy Butler. Like, you make the right moves. The reality is you can't win in this league without a big three right now. And so if you're not willing to go out and sign, and to me, a lot of people say, well, they are willing to go out and do it. But are they? Because there have been plenty of opportunities for them to get a big name 4 or a big name 5, and they haven't been able to bring that in. And you're not going to win in the NBA without bringing somebody like that in. So I think this offseason, you really want to see what Pat Riley's about? Bring in a big 4 or a big 5. Then we can talk about what the Heat are going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been always Pat Riley's MO is always goes with the point guard center combo. He's done that since day one. That's been his bread and butter. And to see a lot of hit and misses, you know, it's kind of eyebrow raising, especially when people did want to come here. But I just really don't want to have that bubble labeled on us. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a year where the Heat got, you know, vamped up. And that's one thing I'm fearful of the Dolphins, man. Like, all the hype is being blown. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get that banana in the tailpipe scenario or hype over here too, man. Like, the East is going to get better for us. Especially you have to think about that, guys. You just can't think, all right, yeah, we're read up.
The Knicks are going to get better, right? The Knicks are going to get better. They can't be as bad as they've been for 20 years and not expect to get better, right? You go through Brooklyn is going to be a mainstay in the East for the next 3 to 5 years. They're not going anywhere, right? And you know, you got to realize, you know, teams like Milwaukee and they're out there, and Atlanta's doing what they need to do. And I'm telling you, it's about who is better at recruiting at this point. It's not about anything else than who can get the person in and sign on the dotted line. Because here's the thing, who doesn't want to play in South Beach, man? Who don't like? There's no state tax here. The South Beach, you got to recruit them.
And who's been doing the recruiting so far that's still in the playoffs? James Jones and Sean Marks, ex-players that are becoming almost top 5 GM candidates this year, man. You can't argue the numbers these guys have been doing.
They're not almost. They are top 5 GM candidates.
Yeah, and I mean you can't hate, but you can't hate on that, man. Those are facts, man. You know, it's just that's what I'm fearful about the Dolphins, man. I just, like I said, I just don't want that banana in the tailpipe win type of vibe going on over here. You got to be cautious of what they have done. The Patriots, the Jets, the Bills. You know what I mean? Like as much as I
the
say
Jets
that,
have done enough to compete.
I mean, I'm just being, I'm being a little bit, you know, I'm just throwing the bone out there as far as like being competitive because, you know, for me, it's like we need them to be on the Pats and the Bills also in order for us to get where we want to go. Let's be real. You know what I mean? The more competitive the AFC East is for us, as far as them beating each other up, I like the number games when it comes to us as far as going forward because we got to win that Buffalo game. We got to win that Baltimore game.
You have to split with them. At minimum, you have to split with them. Because if you lose 0-2 to Buffalo, that tells me 2 things. Number one, we're not quite ready yet. And that's okay, but that's not what I want to hear because I think we are that ready. And number 2, like we're not winning the division that way. You have to beat Buffalo at least one time. And honestly, it needs to be week 2. You got to beat them week 2.
Hey man, I mean, like you said one episode before, I think it was like the beginning of the week, man. Like the first 2 games are key, man. If we get through the first 2 weeks without injuries, and we get into that 3rd week where a lot of people have to exercise demons. I mean, if we go through that game 3-0,
bro.
I mean,
you ain't gonna be able to shut me up, man. I'm gonna be hype.
I mean, rightfully so, man. The way things have been, I mean, like I said, we got to play it with caution. But going through those 3 games, no one can question us. No one.
Dude, so let me ask you, man. You look at teams like Baltimore, and we have not been able to beat Baltimore in, I feel like, a decade, bro. And so you look at that game, and you look at some of these other games that are on the roster this year, or I mean on the schedule. There are some games that in the past we have, like I look at the Saints, and I know the Saints don't have Drew Brees anymore, but the reality is that's going to be a tough game, right? And then, you know, you also look at the Tennessee game in Week 17, that New Year's game, which, by the way, I'm going to be at. It's going to be dope. But all those are tough games, and you have, like, the teams like the Jets and the Patriots, and I put the Patriots in there right now with the Jets because they have shown me nothing for me to believe in them. You have to win those must-win games. You lose any of those must-win games, they're just not going to be able to compete.
We can't have those Denver games anymore, man. I remember the one-step trap lobster BS from back in the day. That just carried on to this when I thought of that Denver game, man. I was just like, we got it. We have it in our grasp, and we're just letting it just fly away in the wind, man. It's just, we got to have it. Like, when we have it, we got to take control of it, man. Like, right now, all the hype is built upon us, and we just can't, you know, we can't let that go, man. We just got to go full forward, man.
Dude, Cap, that's why I love you, bro. You cannot, these trap games that have gotten us trouble in years past cannot happen this year. They can't. In order for us to, so let me, before I get you off, because we're coming up on a break here, let me ask you, what's your prediction for the record this year for the Dolphins? Because in my opinion, I think we're going 13-4.
I mean, I've been on the mindset of 12-5. I've always been on the mindset of that, but now that you put in the extra game into account, like I said, it's going to be more beating up on each other, and that equals up to 2 games. So you got to think about that. So I'm saying 14-3.
14-3. Hey, look, 12 games gets you into the playoffs. 13 or 14 games wins your division. That's it this year.
I want the division, man. I want the division. And to be honest with you, man, like I say, man, it's football, and every man for themselves. You don't want nobody getting hurt, but this Dolphin community wants Josh Allen blood. And you know that.
Oh,
you know that.
I want to see Phillips and Agba eat. I want to see them Buff Boys eat this year. And
if we sign Ingram,
bro, I'm
ABG,
telling you. Have I not said, you've watched all my shows this last week and a half, Cap. Have I not said that I already think we have the number one defense? And if we get Ingram, good night, close the book. There ain't nobody that's competing with us on the defensive level. That's real. That's real. All right, look, man, I'm coming up on the break, bro. I appreciate you coming on. I love you, man. Keep doing your thing and supporting me and supporting Miami sports music. And I love you, man. Seriously, this was fun talking with you. I want to talk to you more.
Y'all take it easy, man. Be safe, man. Love y'all.
Love you too, man. Have a good one. All right, this is Miami Sports Music for the Fans. I am your host, Stephen D. We're coming up into our last segment. I want to remind you guys, Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m., baseball fans can go deep into the account with my man, Alex Aguirre. See, I hope I did it right this time, Alex. You can catch the show that talks Marlins and all the big stories in the majors every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. C-Meds have a new home. Listen to Deep Into the Count exclusively at OnSide Radio.
You're listening to Miami Sports Music for the Fans. To reach out to Stephen D, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Miami Sports Music for the Fans. The only show truly dedicated to the Miami fans.
Now that it's springtime, it's only getting hotter here in South Florida. Make sure your AC in your home or business is running smoothly by investing in a preventative maintenance plan from M&S Air Conditioning. And M&S is a Mitsubishi Diamond Elite contractor. When you purchase a new Mitsubishi electric mini split system, you'll get a 12-year warranty. Or install a high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit that captures and destroys biological contaminants to improve air quality. M&S Air Conditioning have been providing prompt, honest, and reliable service for over 30 years. Schedule service or call to get more info on our preventative maintenance plans. Call 954-421-3680 or visit ac-florida.com.
WLESPN. We've got all your sports.
We're live and local.
If you wake up early enough.
You're so bad, honey.
Tune us in. As long as you're not under a bridge.
Or under any power line.
Ain't it awful? South Florida's choice for sports talk. OnSideRadio.com.
Join the Inter Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Inter Miami CF fan, join us at our new home this season for all away games as we broadcast live at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company, 1901 North Federal Highway in Pompano Beach. Join Big O and Alex Dono for the live pregame, halftime, and postgame shows while we watch the games. Enjoy meticulously brewed beer on site, delicious artisanal pizzas, live music, and giveaways. So, the new home for all Inter Miami road games is at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company at the Pompano City Mall, where they'll feature all the Inter Miami games. Follow them on Twitter at Dangerous Minds B and Facebook and Instagram at Dangerous Minds Brewing, and visit them at dangerousmindsbrewing.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hey, it's Big O for EJD Construction, your custom home builder, additions and home remodeling. Our lives have changed. We're making our homes more of an oasis. Call the right place. Call the right people. Eric at EJD Construction for over 16 years. A-rated member of Angie's List in the Better Business Bureau. 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Fish fans, time to reel in the latest news in baseball with OnSideRadio.com's Marlins Minute. Here's Alex Aguirre.
It was an incomplete weekend for the Miami Marlins as their third and final game of their weekend series against the Boston Red Sox was rained out. That game will be made up on Monday, June 7th to end their current road trip. In Saturday's game, the Fish dropped another close one in Fenway 3-1. Trevor Rogers started the game and had another quality start, going 6 innings and piling up the strikeouts with 9. After the start, Rogers has kept his ERA under 2 at 1.87. The Marlins offense has been struggling to put up runs over the last 2 weeks, barely averaging 3 runs a game, and they look to change that script as the team is traveling today to play the Toronto Blue Jays in their temporary home field in Buffalo for a quick 2-game series. Toronto has been struggling as of late, winning only 4 games over their last 12, so let's hope Miami can take advantage of that. The Marlins look to rebound from a tough start to the road trip with Sandy Alcantara on the mound tomorrow night for Miami. First pitch is at 7:10. Let's go Fish.
Keep up with the latest on the Miami Marlins by subscribing on most platforms by searching OnSide Radio. Let's get back to Miami sports music for the fans. You can send Stephen D a text at 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's Stephen D and Miami sports music for the fans.
What is going on? It is your boy, Stephen D. Super excited to be hanging out with you. But look, man, check it out. It's going to be a good time this Memorial Day. I hope that you take the time to remember the fallen ones that we've lost, and remember, all of our fallen heroes. I come from a big military background. That's why I'm rocking the camo DWA today, because I want to support the people who've died for us to be able to do this every single day, and that's hang out and have a good time with the fans for the fans. So I just want to give a big shout out to all the men and women who lost their lives fighting for our country, and people that came home and have also lost their lives in some other way, shape, or form. Because, if you served in this military, you're just a beautiful person, and I really appreciate everything you've done. All right, look, check it out. I want to bring in my man, Alex Aguirre. What's up, Alex? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. What's up, Stevie D? What's up, man? How's it
What's
going?
going on, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. Another beautiful day here at Drive Pink Stadium. It was an unfortunate weekend for South Florida sports, but you know what? I'm glad to hear the positivity in your listeners and the fans just listening, because they're looking forward to a new chapter in South Florida sports with the Dolphins coming up. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's true, man. That is exactly true. The reason I wanted to bring it up to you was the Marlins made a trip up to Fenway this past weekend, and they dropped 2 of what was supposed to be 3. The third game got rained out yesterday, and I believe is scheduled to be made up on June 7th. But, the reason I wanted to bring that up to you is the Marlins went to Fenway Park, and Fenway Park's a pretty cool place, man. And I have had the opportunity to visit there and just think that the historic thing of that ballpark and what it brings to the culture of baseball is absolutely amazing. So I wanted to talk to you about the Marlins visiting there and how cool that is for some of those guys who have never played at Fenway to have that opportunity. And then the second thing I wanted to talk to you is what's up with the Marlins and this losing streak, bro?
Well, I think, to answer the first part of your question, I think it's a great experience for those young players. Fenway is such a historic and beautiful field. They got some of the young players had the opportunity to go inside the Green Monster and sign their name there like a bunch of other players have in the past and be part of that history, that rich history in Fenway Park. So that was great to see. Unfortunately, they didn't win those games in Fenway. The losing streak has been a bit funky. The pitching has been phenomenal, but the hitting has been atrocious. The Marlins are averaging a little over 3 runs a game in the past 2 weeks. And to put in perspective for your listeners and you, the Houston Astros, who lead all of baseball in runs per game, are averaging close to 6. So they're about hovering on 5.5.
That's half. That's half, man, and that makes a big difference when you're playing the game of baseball in a 9-inning game. Look, it's. I think they're 4.5 games out of first right now, if not 5. I want to say the Mets, who are in first, please correct me if I'm wrong here, they're 5 games above 500. What's up? Are the Mets going to run away with this thing, or is this still too early to call? Which I think it is, by the way, because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and so it's a matter of who's gets on board with winning. I think if we're within 7 games come the All-Star break, we have a chance to make a run at this thing. But scoring 3 runs a game, that ain't going to cut it.
It's not going to cut it. And yes, you're correct. The Mets are 5 games over 500, leading the NL East in the division. The Marlins right now are only 4.5, like you said, and it's a long season. They haven't even reached the dog days of summer, which I'm kind of concerned about because of how the offense is doing. But they're getting some key pitchers back, like Sixto and Eliezer Hernandez, and that's going to be very beneficial for the stretch run, especially in the summer where things get a little more difficult. The season starts weighing on you, especially for these younger players who really haven't experienced playing a full 162 game season. So I'm not counting the Marlins out yet. They're right there. They're a couple games under 500. They're going to get some reinforcements coming in soon with some position players coming back as well. So I'm not discounting the Marlins yet. We got a long season ahead of us, a lot of ball left.
There's one more question I want to ask you. So let me ask this. So because we're so close to first place, as far as like the jumbled up mediocre NL East, let's say come August, we're within 5 games. Do the Marlins take an opportunity to make a trade, like to gather somebody, or is this still not an opportunity for this team yet where they're going to be buying?
I think, to be honest with you, that they are going to make a move at the trade deadline. Let's think about what they did last season. They're in the thick of things a bit, even though it was a shortened season. So they made a move. They traded for Starling Marte. He's not a Bryce Harper. He's not a Juan Soto. He's not one of these big-name free agents or big-name bats. But Starling Marte is a formidable player. He solidifies the defense in the outfield. He can captain that outfield. And I can see the Marlins making a trade for another bat like that. Not a tier 1 player, but maybe tier 2, tier 3 type of veteran player that's going to be consistent in the lineup like Marte is. And unfortunately, he's hurt. But before he was hurt, he's been consistent in the lineup, getting on base, leading that lineup in the leadoff spot. And the Marlins going to be looking for something like that again. A low-cost impact bat that they can find in the trade market. And that definitely is out there.
All right, man. Well, Alex, thank you for coming on and discussing the Marlins here with me, man. This has been a great show. This has been the first time I haven't really had a fan on, which is good because, look, this is Miami sports music for the fans. I love talking UFC. I love talking football, having people on like Cap for Life, who's a loyal listener, and obviously talking with my man Alex about the Miami Marlins. Look, tomorrow I want you guys to make sure you guys don't catch or miss the episode from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here on OnSide Radio. Good night, everyone.
AM 1260 WLEN.
We're live and local. Honey, are we really?
Just read what they wrote.
We're the best sports station for Miami.
What kind of programming genius does it take to flip a switch and put it on an ESPN satellite? We're your home for all local sports. AM 1260 WLE. Honey, would you please bring my laxative in here?
Sure, honey.
Ain't it awful? South Florida's choice for sports talk. OnSideRadio.com.
When you're looking to add that extra